Pokemon. Pokemon, Pokemon, Pokemon. Hoo-wee. What a ride. Pokemon is literally the biggest, absolute biggest, most humongous franchise in the entire world. There's not a single part in the world where people will not know Pokemon. It's that incredibly big. Alright, it's insane. And of course, with such a big community, there tends to be a group of people that love to making themselves suffer by making the game arbitrarily more challenging to themselves by putting themselves in a bunch of self-imposed rules that makes the game a bit more spicy, as you can say. And one of these specific challenges is called the Nuzlocke challenge, or the Pokemon Nuzlocke, whatever you want to call it. Pokemon Nuzlocke has been around since the winter of 2010. So, ever since then, oh, I was Pokemon Ruby. Look at that. Huh. Look at that. Awesome. Poggers. Anyways, the Pokemon Nuzlocke is basically this. When you start the game, you will have to name your Pokemon. You will have to name your Pokemon at all. You have to name them in order to create a sort of emotional connection to it. After that, if the Pokemon dies or faints, he will permanently die, and you are not allowed to use that Pokemon ever again. Ever. Not at all.
No!
Until you find another Pokemon. Just any other Pokemon. And the other rule to this is basically every Pokemon you find in a new route or area, the first Pokemon you find in that will be the only Pokemon you can catch within that area. So if you catch it, awesome, you get a new Pokemon in your roster. And if not, well, too bad. Go cry about it. And you're gonna have to wait until the next area to get a chance to catch a Pokemon. Anyways, there are more rules to this that you can have, like level cap, or not using items, or setting the game mode to set, which until like a couple days ago I didn't know it was a thing that you can switch the game mode into set mode. I didn't even know that was a thing up until now. So look at that! Anyways, I myself have tried many times to do a Pokemon Nuzlocke and failed horrifically. I streamed it a lot back in Twitch, but ever since Twitch decided to become the worst thing in the world, I moved to streaming on YouTube. And ever since then, I was like, you know what? Let's make a Pokemon Nuzlocke and stream it on YouTube. And of course, in which better game to start it in than in Pokemon Emerald, my first ever Pokemon game back when I was like a wee lad. So yeah, I have tried many times to complete a Pokemon Emerald Nuzlocke since Twitch and have failed horrifically every single time. But YouTube, here, is where I finally was able to complete one. So, let me tell you the spicy and meme-centric story of how I beat my first ever Pokemon Emerald Nuzlocke. So, in the beginning, we are waking up, stuffed into the back of a trunk. No reason at all. You think you'll be entering the Gulag, but in the end, it's just a greeny little town called Little Root. Once the game started and I got out and smelled freedom, I immediately hit the ejector seat. And by that, I mean I hit the sped up button. Why, you ask? Well, emulators, excuse me, the totally legit Pokemon release of Emerald on PC has this neat little feature where you are able to select a button speed up the game, which is actually really, really convenient because if you don't know, Pokemon grinding is some of the most tedious things you will ever do, especially in a Nuzlocke. I myself had a strategy for this specific Nuzlocke. After many, many failed attempts, I was like, you know what, screw this. I am over leveling every single Pokemon. I am gonna make sure there are at least 5 levels above whatever boss gym we encounter. For the exception of my starter. That boy was just on some new level stuff. Like, that man was reaching Super Saiyan or something. Anyways. I go and stalk the neighbor for a little bit. Then she tells me to go find her dad. So then I go and try and find her dad. And then I find that he's being attacked by a little Zigzagoon. Which is funny because in the beginning, like the very beginning of the game, he mentions how humans and Pokemon live in harmony. And yet 5 minutes later, he's being bullied by a tiny little raccoon. So anyways, I go to his bag and take the only choice, the best choice, Trico, who I named him Tree Boy. And he is the heart and soul of this entire run. If he dies, then I give up, because I cannot continue on a game without my starter. So, Tree Boy beats up the Zigzagoon, then Professor Birch takes me back to his lab to tell me to go find his daughter, May. So, which, if you recall, is the neighbor that we stalked a couple seconds ago. So we go up to the route where May is, and I was trying really, really hard to not get an encounter here in this particular point of the game, because in these first couple of routes that you go in, you don't have any Pokeballs. The only time you get Pokeballs is when after you fight May and go back to Professor Birch. So, and one really thing about Pokemon Nuzlocke is that you want to catch as many Pokemon encounters as you can, so you don't die. Because if your entire team dies in one battle and you wipe out, that's it. The run's over. You're dead. Try again. Over and over. Loser. Despite my very, very careful walk through the tall grass, I got encounters in those routes before I was able to get the Pokemon. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Whatever. I'm just gonna use this time and the speed up button to grind up my Tree Boy until he has Quick Attack. I'm pretty sure it was Quick Attack. And then we go to May, who sends out her Torchic, the chicken, who I have a special vendetta against because in one of my recent failed runs, I may have overconfidently tried to use Tree Boy against that chicken in one of the fights, and she killed my entire run. Yo, he's like right there. Oh, you poor lad. Oh, that's a problem. Attack miss, and I'm burned? The chicken killed me again. The chicken killed me again. It killed me again. Come on. So yeah, I had a quite a specific vendetta against this chicken. So we bullied the chicken, left into his beaten up corpse for a little bit. Then we go back to the lab, and then Professor Birch finally gives me the Pokeballs with the Pokedex, which is basically useless. And then we can finally embark onto Pokemon's journey. Journey? I don't know. On my way to steamrolling the entire competition in Route 102, I found a wormhole that I named Charlene in honor of an inside joke between girlfriend, which I also decide to train up with the speed up button in the grass, which is quite hard to do because this worm pole was quite weak and the fence sucked. Like, donkey doo-doo bad. So it took a while, but in the end, Charlene was able to pull through in the end and level up to a good amount. And she was even able to evolve into a Silcoon. And eventually, she went from evolving into a Silcoon into a Beautifly. So hey, look at that. Early in this little run, and we already have a fully evolved Pokemon. That's pretty good early game. Around Route 104, I got quite excited and very cautious because here is a pretty good chance where you can catch a Marill early on. And the Marill is really good because it eventually turns into an Azumarill, which is chunky and hits hard and it's overall just a phenomenal water type. So I go to Route 104, skip the initial patch of grass, going around the beach so I can go to a specific spot where I'm pretty sure all the Marills are. And give me a Marill. Yes! Yes! That is all I needed! No. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna switch to Charlene. We're gonna tackle you. Yes, you're very chunky. Yep. No! Why? Why a crit now? Bro! Yeah, so trying to switch to Charlene to try to wiggle it down a little bit. And then throwing a Pokeball at it did not pan out as I thought I would. So that was fun. Lost one of my favorite Pokemon this early already, so great. After that whole ordeal, I went into the woods and just completely refused to catch another Wurmple. I was still pretty salty about not catching Marill, so now that I caught just another one of my Pokemon, I just refused that encounter, so now I couldn't get any more encounters in this forest. So I just decided to speed through it, bully the first Team Aqua grunt that you find in the game with his puny Puccine. And then, guess what happens? After I get out of the woods, guess what happens? I'll take a tiny guess as to what happens. This game just likes to taunt me. This game just wants to taunt me now. Look at this! Yeah, get used to the game absolutely taunting me with Pokemon that I want. It's very common for me to happen, especially in these Nuzlocke. I don't know why the game just likes doing it to me. Just go along with it and watch me suffer, I guess. So anyways, made it to Rustboro City, decided to beat up the Pokemon gym trainers in there before taking on the gym leader, just for some XP farming. Then went up to Route 116 and found a Tailo, which I did catch and named Juanita. After that thing, I did a lot of grinding in Route 116, bullied the Pokemon trainers there, went inside the cave, caught a Whismur that I called Futters, because who uses a Whismur? And then after that, I did a lot more grinding for my Pokemon. I grinded Tree Boy, Juanita, and Charlene. So I would be very confident onto this first gym. First gym isn't usually hard at all, but considering my luck and me playing it really safe after many failed Nuzlocke attempts, yes, you can say that I really wanted to grind really badly, so I don't lose anything ever again. So after a lot of grinding, even joke grinding, because I decided to grind up Fodder's level, because why not? I finally took on the first gym, and I absolutely obliterated Geodudes and Nose Passes. They just did not stand a chance against the Chad Tree Boy, who, after a lot of grinding, leveled up and evolved. After that, I saw Team Aqua stole Devon goods or whatever from the office that was right to my left. So I had to speed right back into the cave, bully the Team Aqua into giving me the goods again, go back to the office, and meet the CEO of Devon Enterprises. I don't really know. But he gave me one of the best items in the game, which was XP Share. Which, if you didn't know, it lets, once you complete a battle, it lets you share XP between the Pokemon that battled and the Pokemon that has XP Share on it, which makes grinding a lot easier. So after that, I decided to go back and get my revenge on a certain chicken. Oh, I got the perfect Pokemon to bully her! Time to die, chicken! Yeah! That's what you get! Revenge! Catharticism! Yeah! After that little episode, I went back to Route 104 to get Grandpa to get me into his ship and to sail away into the next gym back in Dewford City. But I wasn't going into the second gym first because you see, Pokemon Emerald lets you go a little bit ahead of Dewford Town if you give a certain Steven Stone a certain letter. And after that, you can go into Slateport City, which can advance the story a little bit more, giving you a bit more XP, which means more Chad Pokemon bullying the Pokemon gyms, and me being more confident into knowing that none of my Pokemon will die for some stupid random crit or whatever. So I went inside to Granite Cave, and it was here where I caught a Makuhita, which I properly named Makulit. And this one would be really helpful along pretty much almost the entire Pokemon region, because a lot of the late game Pokemon boss battles are really weak against fighting type. Steven Stone, the Ice type Elite Four, my dad's gym. So yeah, having a Makuhita that eventually evolves into Hariyama would be really helpful for the entire game, and I would have to make sure that he would absolutely not die at any point in time.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
After giving the letter to Steven Stone, I decided to do a little bit of grinding inside the cave for Charlene and Juanita, which would be really good against the second gym. And after that, I got out of the cave and bullied the Pokemon gym trainers inside the second gym. And after that, I finally set out sail into Slateport to get a lot more grinding. Oh, I almost forgot. I got the old rod from one of the fishermen in Dewford and decided to do a little bit fishing for a water type Pokemon since I was still pretty salty about losing Meryl. So I caught a Magikarp, which is really good actually because it evolves into a Gyarados. But Fodders decides to be a little prick and crits one-shots the Magikarp. So now I'm taking at least admittedly more time than I should have fishing just for any other water type Pokemon. And it was here where I caught Squidward the Tentacool. Into Slateport I went and beat up everybody in the beach and the beach house place where you get some soda pops. Then after that, I sped off into the museum where Team Aqua was there waiting to try and bully Captain Stern, so I decided to bully them back, and the leader had to step in and make everyone retreat, because apparently full-grown adults can't take care of a 12-year-old child. So after that, I went a bit up into the route and caught an Electrite, which I named Juan. around that time, Juanita evolved into a Suelo, which is really, really, really good, especially since the second gym I still haven't beaten. So, having a Suelo there would be quite the massacre. During this time, I debated to either fight May up in the route below the bridge, or I would just go and beat the second gym and then I would fight her. I was really deciding which one I should. But me having a little petty moment and still having revenge on my mind, I decided to go for the former. The world of you guys are too sweet. Yeah! Get out of here, chicken! Woo! Sorry. So after another revenge episode, I just went back to the second gym finally, and it was here where Charlene and Juanita had no problem. I'm pretty sure they used like 5% of their power, and they absolutely decimated the second gym leader's team. It was just not even close. So, second gym down. A lot more to go. On my way back to the third... On my way to the third gym, I found Wally, who was just standing right outside the door, just kind of blocking the way for no reason. And he wouldn't move until I fought him, so I basically just backslapped the absolute crap out of his Pokemon until he finally went away, and I went into the gym. So bullying Wally away from the gym and a bunch of grinding in the Magneton Bridge Gauntlet and the Breeder section, Makulit finally evolved into a Hariyama, and with him, I absolutely swept the competition in the fourth gym. He hit so hard, it was ridiculous. No one stood a chance against me. After that, we went up above into the later routes, and that's where I found a Numo called Mabait. I named him Mabait as a sort of the yang to Makulit's yin. Once I got into the fiery path, after grinding a bit outside, I caught a Torkoal that I named Oogway. I know, very original. Ha 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 ha. After that ordeal, I went up to Route 113, sweeping the entire competition along the way to get that sweet XP. And I caught a Spinda, which I honestly never used ever again, so I honestly can't remember the name of the Spinda. I just put him in the box, so he ever since then he's just been there. It was around this time where I was getting a little bit nervous, because you see, it's around this part of the game where Pokemon trainers have some things that I like to call the BS moves. For example, around this area in Route 113, where it's just Ashy Falls and then there's a town, there's a couple little ninja boys that have a certain coughing that knows explode. Literally suicide bombs the coffin into trying to take out one of your Pokemon with it. So that's very uncalled for, but you know, my Pokemon were able to handle it, thankfully. But even after all that grinding and having a few scares, I was still scared, because you see, the fourth gym leader is a fire type, and she has two Pokemon that have a very specific move called Overheat. Now, Overheat is a huge explosion of fire that absolutely decimates any Pokemon in its way, with the downside of your special attack harshly falling. But the thing is, she equipped those Pokemon with some berries that allow them to get their special attack back, making her use it a second time. And since she has two Pokemons with that certain move, she's able to use it a total of 4 times, possibly killing my entire team. Trust me, believe me, it has happened in one of my runs. It was annoying. So, when I got to the gym, you could say I was just a tiny bit nervous. Now, before all of that, went back into fall board time after I swept everybody for XP. I went into round 114 where I caught a Swablu. Now, Swablu is phenomenal Pokemon because it evolves into an Altaria, which is a Dragon type. Now, Dragon types are phenomenal Pokemon. They do a lot of damage, they are very fast, and they're pretty. They don't really have a lot of weaknesses, to be honest. Like, Fairy wasn't even a thing until Gen 6, 5, one of those. And Ice types just kind of suck, to be honest. And Dragon types, well, those are very rare, so having a Dragon type on my team is phenomenal. And I named this Swablu Rio in honor of our blue macaque brothers. Well, anyways, fast forward, I am in Mount Pyre, where Team Magma is fighting Team Aqua into trying to get their hands into a very specific orb. But thankfully, my Pokemon are severely over-leveled, so they just absolutely backslap them off the mountain, and that's where I can get, and after that, I can get a lot more of that lumptious, sweet XP. But, funny story about this part is where I had my first death. Because I accidentally said, Juan the Electrite, well, he was pretty underleveled, which I thought he could stand on his own for a little bit, just for a tiny bit, so he can get his XP, but he kind of got destroyed. And like that, I lost my first Pokemon in the Nuzlocke. And a really, really important one, because electric types are really good, especially for the future fights that I'm going to have. Most certainly in the Elite Four too. So losing probably my only electric type was a huge, huge blow, especially early on in the run. So, with a heavy heart, we said goodbye to Juan the Electrite and we moved along. So, more grinding, and during the Jagged Pass, I caught a Machop called, and I put him in the box because I really didn't need him. But it's nice to have a backup, just in case. Yeah. Finally, with Squidward evolving into a Tentacruel, I felt confident enough to take on the fiery gym that absolutely terrifies me. Once I got to the gym leader, hoo-wee, Squidward had zero mercy for the team. He one-shotted almost every single one of the Pokemon until the Torkoal came out. Now, Torkoal is one of those Pokemon that does have that overheat move. So when it came out, I got just a tiny bit scared, just a little bit. But thankfully, the AI decided to go for an Attract, which I got kind of scared because the Torkoal was a woman and Squidward was a guy. So the Attract actually did work, and Squidward was unfortunately falling in love with a turtle. Anyways, after that, Squidward actually, even though he was attracted to it, he still hit every single one of his moves, without hesitation at all. It was insane. And the Torkoal wasn't even able to use overheat after that. At that point, they were just stalling by healing with hyper potions, but they were just delaying the inevitable, and eventually Squidward killed the Torkoal, and we got the 4th gym badge. So after completely dodging a heart attack, I decided to grind up my Pokemon back in the Jagged Pass to take on the fifth gym, which is my dad's gym, who is kind of a tough one, not gonna lie, because it is all the way back in a very early part of the game, and because of that, your Pokemon don't really have a good place to level up fast. So naturally it would take a bit to level them up. But thankfully, I had the speed up button, so you know what that means.
Gotta go fast! Gotta go fast! Gotta go faster, 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 faster!
A lot of XP later, my precious tree boy fully evolved into a Sceptile, making him the Ultra Chad of the team. After doing quite a bit of leveling up, after all of that leveling up and grinding, I felt confident enough to have Tree Boy, Makulit, and Juanita as a backup to beat the fifth gym. Makulit was gonna be the star of this one. He was gonna be the one to take on the entirety of my dad's Pokemon team, with Tree Boy doing taking care of all the Pokemon gym trainers along the way, just so you know, sort of insurance policy, so Makulit doesn't get absolutely destroyed by some random crit of some random Pokemon that I didn't know about. So what happened in this epic fight between father and son? Well, I wish I could have shown you, but my internet was acting kind of wonky at this particular day for whatever reason. So my live stream kept cutting out because my internet kept cutting out. So, for some reason, the entirety of the fight between me and my dad is not here. It jumps from me fighting all the Pokemon gym leaders, or gym trainers, and then going straight for me in the middle of the ocean fighting some Pokemon trainers. So now that I figured that one out, and I'm pretty pissed about it, I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown of what happened. Basically, I sent Makulit out. He was doing pretty well, actually, fairly well, until my dad sent out his Slacky. I don't know if he used counter or facade or what move he did, but this man absolutely one-shotted Makulit, and he went down, unfortunately. That is the second ever death in my Pokemon Nuzlocke, this attempt anyways. And that really sucked, because having a fighting type was gonna help me out a lot, in this point of the game. But then this absolute chunker of a slacking had to completely ruin my plans and gave me a big no by killing my Makulit. So, with a heavy heart, I sent out Tree Boy and he took care of the rest. And with that, we begrudgingly took the fifth gym badge. I remember bidding my goodbyes to Makulit in the computer and replaced them with One Punch the Machop. So, let this be one of the many lessons. Make sure you have backups, because you never know when your Pokemon might get one-shot crit. It's around here where I finally get Surf, which I'm ecstatic about because half of this game's world is literal water exploration. And with this next gym, I decided to strategize a bit because you see, there is this particular Pokemon gym has a Swablu, and the Swablu is an absolute mad lad that has some insane moves, insane stats, and he's also a dragon type, dragon flying. So, to have some sort of insurance, and what I felt back then was my only way of beating it, was to go to the the abandoned ship around the ocean and beat up, bully everyone along the way, and then get Ice Beam for Ryu, my Swablu. And with that, I felt very confident that Ryu would take care of this gym. And with that being said, you know what's gonna happen after this. It was around Route 118 where my luck actually started to change because I encountered a wild Electrite that I could catch. And that was insane to me because I thought the only place you could get electric type Pokemons was around the around the third gym. In this particular Electrite, I named Kiki. While I was grinding a bit more and saving the scientists in the lab from Team Aqua, Ryu evolved into an Altaria and also learned Dragon Breath, which made me even more confident about my chances in the 6th gym. The scientists thanked me for saving them, and they gave me a Castform that I named Casper's Girlfriend. I don't know, I didn't care to remember the name or look back at it. I just immediately summoned the PC and never used them ever again because Castform sucks. Moving on, I was making my way through the bridge that Team Aqua had previously blocked before, and, well... No. Look there. Oh no! No. We're not fighting, are we? Well, after that quick heart attack, it was fine. It's fine. Tree Boy took care of the Pelipper pretty quickly. The Chad Squidward one-shotted the stupid chicken. And then Rio was able to quickly dispose of Lumber. And with that, May was able to give me Fly. And you know me, with my playing it super safe plan of this Nuzlocke. I decided that instead of beelining it straight to the Pokemon Jam on Fortree City, I decided to instead move a little bit forward into the story to the point of Mount Pyre to level up my Pokemon a bit more, to just play it safe, you know. And it was here also where I caught a Shuppet that I called Casper. Well, when I got to Mount Pyre, I started to get quite a bit nervous because I remember back in one of my many failed Pokemon Nuzlockes about a certain Pokemon trainer that lurks around this place that has a Wobbuffet. And this Wobbuffet has a very specific move that if you allow it to use it, he will go down with your Pokemon. So, meaning, if you kill that Wobbuffet while that move is active, the Wobbuffet will die and take whatever Pokemon was out with it. So, throughout Mount Pyre, I was tiptoeing around, kind of, as well as the speed up button will let me tiptoe around, trying to figure out who was this mysterious Pokemon trainer that had this Wobbuffet. I was peeking around, corner to corner, being super careful that I didn't see a Wobbuffet. And to play it extra safe, I put Rio the Altaria up front to make sure that if I wasn't able to one-shot this Wobbuffet, that at least Tree Boy would survive this whole ordeal. Well, some time passes, and I do find this a mysterious Pokemon trainer. And guess what happens? You, fight me. There it is. What just happened? No. No. We're not doing this. We're not doing this, whatever it is. We're not doing that. Shadow Tag? What does Shadow Tag do? You mother... And that's why I didn't want to put Tree Boy in. I knew there was somebody that did that. Yeah, so... I found the Wobbuffet, and not only did he use Shadow Tag, which prevented me to switch my Pokemon around, he also used Destiny Bond, which was the move that I was scared about. The move that took my Pokemon along with that Wobbuffet. So, that's how the third death of my Nuzlocke happened. I lost Rio, which was an integral part of the team, especially for this upcoming gym. And even more especially, because he was the Pokemon that I gave Ice Beam to. So not only did I lose a really good Pokemon, I also lost a really good TM. I bid my goodbye to Rio. And I put out Kiki to be the leading monster of the team to take out the 6th gym leader. And throughout this point, I was gonna be extremely salty. I know, oh boy, don't you worry, it's gonna get even worse. So anyway, more grinding later, which got very tedious, even with the speed up button. My Bait evolved into a Cane Route, which was actually very helpful, not gonna lie. And leveling up Kiki to as comfortable and as much as my will would let me go with the grinding, I finally decided to go to the gym. And this year, we're once again, weirdly enough, this really doesn't happen often because I usually have really bad luck. But once my Bait evolved into a Cane Route, he learned the move Rock Slide, which is really, really good, especially since this gym is a flying gym. So now my Bait is also a very, very integral part to the team in this particular point, because not only do I have Kiki, who is the main Pokemon that I was relying to, I also have a backup that was in the form of my Bait and his Rock Slide move. So, wow, that was incredibly weird at this to this point. Even to this day, I'm like, did that really happen? I'm literally recording, I'm watching, then recording, watching, then recording, and I just watched my Bait evolve, and seeing Rock Slide, especially in this particular point where I lost Rio, that was insane. On with the Pokemon Gym Leader fight. So, the Flying Gym Leader starts out with a Swablu, which Kiki disposes with no trouble whatsoever. And immediately after, she decides to send Altaria, her strongest Pokemon already, which was quite interesting, wasn't gonna lie. So, I was still confident that Kiki would be able to take care of Altaria rather quickly, because the electric types do a lot of damage and they're super fast. Well,
Oh no!
he knows Earthquake? Yeah, so the dude knew Earthquake apparently, and poor little Kiki has really bad defense, so it was really bad to keep him out. So I decided to go with my backup Pokemon, Mabait. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, this Altaria's Earthquake also cut through Mabait's defense like it was nothing, doing more than half health from him. So now I'm legitimately freaking out and scrambling to figure out what I can do. So, with not really many options, I just decided to send Tree Boy out since he was very over-leveled. And with that, I just decided to try and chip away at his health with Cut and Pursuit, which were the only two kind of effective moves against this Altaria. Unfortunately, it was still a pretty chunky boy, so it didn't go down easily. And even more worryingly is that it was setting up dragon dances now, so I had to kill it now before it could kill my tree boy. Thankfully, Tree Boy was able to cut it down, giving us the 6th gym badge. After that, quite a bit of events happened. Well, you see, I went back into Team Magma's hideout, basically bullying everybody to leave their own home. I go fight the Team Magma leader that accidentally awoke Groudon with a blue orb because he's too stupid or just absolutely colorblind to see what he just did. I bully him also to leave the home. Then I go back to Team Aqua's hideout. They tell me their leader is about to steal a submarine. Then I go to the city where Captain Stern is, where he's about to show people the submarine. But lo and behold, Team Aqua's already there, ready to steal the submarine, and they just up and leave with it. At that point, I have to chase them down, and they give me the HM dive, which makes it incredibly easier. And then I figure out that, and this part is where I kind of struggle a little bit, because there aren't really any reference points to where Team Aqua and the submarine could be. So I had to dive in a couple places, failed a little bit, and then I eventually gave in and just looked up a tutorial online to tell me where they are. But before all that, I went back to Team Aqua's house, bullied everybody out the house, got a Master Ball, then an Electrode called Batchan, and then I went to pursue Team Aqua in the submarine. But once again, before I could confront them, I followed the guide for a little bit, and it told me to take on the 7th gym. So I decided to take on the 7th gym real quick, and Casper and Tree Boy made very easy work of the Pokemon. Even if in this version of the 3rd gen Pokemon games, these particular gym leaders get more than just 2 Pokemon. They get actually 4. But it was no problem. Casper and Tree Boy were absolute mad lads of a duo on this one, and with that, I took the 7th gym badge. With that done, I had to go to the space station of Monster City and take on Team Magma there, which was pretty easy, especially since Steven came along right at the end to help me out a little bit. And after defeating Team Magma with Steven, I finally was able to find Team Aqua's submarine in the seafloor cave. So I go around to defeat a bunch of full-grown men, and taking a bit longer than I would like to admit on a really easy puzzle. Then finally going to the big boss of Team Aqua, which is also a fight that made me nervous, because I remember all the way back in one of my failed runs, this man's Crobat or Golbat or whatever you want to call it, he absolutely decimated my entire team. The entire team was wiped by a single Crobat. So I was a little wary, but still, I was just hoping that my Pokemon would take care of it, and thankfully they did. After that, the man awoke I can't remember the dude's name. The big boy whale. He awoke it with the wrong orb again, pissing it off as well, which leads to both those legendaries fighting each other in the last gym, which kind of blocks my path because I need that badge. So I get told to go awake Rayquaza to tell them to calm down. So I run around, do just that, and I see the big boy, the man Rayquaza, just tell everybody to shut up and go back to their homes. And just like that, we saved the world. Very anticlimactic, I know. Moving on to the 8th gym now. Anyways, the gym Pokemon trainers were pretty easy, not gonna lie. There were quite a bit of them. But nothing that Kiki couldn't handle. Kiki was once again gonna be the main lad that would take care of everybody in the the gym, including the gym leader, Juan. Hey, look, it's me! But the thing is, Juan has this very, very specific Pokemon called a Seadra. And Seadra was one tough dude to get around. Kingdra opened up by using Double Team. But once Kiki hit it and paralyzed it, he used Rest. And then he used a berry to get rid of that Rest effect. So now, not only is Kingdra back in full health, I have to chip down at his health again because he's not a one-shot kill. So I keep doing that, but then he just keeps full restoring and double teaming. So this fight takes forever even when I speed it up, but then I catch something during that speed up. This man uses Ice Beam, and Ice Beam legitimately almost killed Kiki. So panicking now, I use Tree Boy. I send him out, and no! Bro! This man! He kept using Rest. He kept stalling with Rest. And every once in a while hitting with Ice Beam. But the problem is, when he was asleep, I couldn't hit him because he already stacked a pretty good amount of double teams. So this fight became an absolute slog of me trying to hit this Kingdra, and Kingdra very slowly and meticulously trying to chip away at my Pokemon's health. It was infuriating. I had to constantly switch between Kiki and Tree Boy, healing them both and hoping they could hit this Kingdra, but it was just not happening. Thankfully, though, Tree Boy was able to get in a few Leaf Blades in, killing the Kingdra, giving us the final gym badge. That was honestly eye-opening to me. I had never, ever made it this incredibly far into a Nuzlocke before. Ever. This was the furthest I had ever gone. The last time I came this far, I died in the seafloor cave to a combat! I'm still pretty salty about it. Anyways. Thankfully, after getting the final gym badge, I was ecstatic, but then I was also very nervous because the Elite Four and the Champion are some people that I have not fought since I was a kid. So this was gonna be an interesting and nerve-wracking last couple of hours for me, because my mind started overthinking, what if this happens, or this and that and this, and then when I started researching more and more and more on the Elite Four's Pokemon, I decided to go to Victory Road, explore there, and not leave Victory Road until my Pokemon were in a high enough level for me to be comfortable enough to fight the Elite Four and the League Champion. So, I go into Victory Road. I grind up a little bit. I explore around the cave. Nothing will stand in my... No, not you, get out of here, no, I don't want... What is this? So yeah, Wally just straight up jump scares me with his Altaria, almost giving me a heart attack. So, one panic attack later, I managed to defeat Wally, not losing anybody, thankfully. And that's where I just start doing more
Grinding, baby!
It was here also where I started to grow like into the thick boy Hariyamas, and it is not because of their thickness, but it's because of that humongous amount of XP that they were able to give my Pokemon. So, with that in mind, I started grinding and doing some pretty good progress too. It was here though where it was around here where one of my viewers suggested to get a Rayquaza, because he was automatically level 70, and he was also a Dragon Flying type, which is a pretty good type because a Dragon type would be really helpful for me for the last of the Elite Four. It was here also where I remembered if it was okay to get a legendary Pokemon for this, or if it was considered kind of cheating, because I know some people don't put a rule where they don't allow themselves to catch legendary Pokemon in their runs. So around here is where I just start get a little bit iffy about getting a legendary, so I just straight up ask, is it okay for me to get a legendary Pokemon for this? Which 2 people said yes to. And you know, that's good enough for me. I don't get that much viewers anyway, so on to Rayquaza's Tower. Man, what an absolute tedious thing to do. This puzzle, if you will, and I do that in very big quotations, is just you timing your Mach Bike turns correctly. If not, you would fall to the previous 4 and you would have to retry again. And let me tell you, when I say this took me a long time, I mean it took me a really long time. I was so tired. I started to get woozy. This was getting ridiculous for me. I just wanted a Pokemon to fit on my team. And man, this was just ridiculous. And it was here where I just started thinking, man, screw the rules. I just want to get this Pokemon. I want to get a legendary. I don't care if it's a legendary. I lost my previous dragon type to absolute. So getting this one through this tediousness was fair enough, okay? You think Pokemon Challenges is gonna watch this? Exactly. Getting Rayquaza was annoying. So I did not care anymore. I just wanted him. So eventually, after a long time, I finally got Rayquaza. I threw the Master Ball at him, and I got Rayquaza into my team. So thankfully, that cuts a lot of grinding for me. And then I go back to grinding. But unfortunately, I was starting to feel very tired at this point. So I decided to call it a night and come back a couple days later. A couple days pass. More grinding. One Punch evolves into a Machamp, which is great because now this is the only thing I need to. He was basically the last Pokemon I needed to get to a high enough level to get to Elite Four. Because, as I said before, having a fighting type at this particular point was gonna be really helpful for me. Incredibly helpful, especially for those Ice type Pokemon that I had to face in one of the Elite Four. So, more and more grinding. I get close. I get into a pretty good amount of a rhythm with One Punch. And then I didn't pay attention! No! I just got him killed! So yeah, me not paying attention makes me lose One Punch to a Golbat. And at this point, my absolute hatred towards Golbat, the entire Zubat evolutionary line grows even more, but I can't even be mad at the Golbat. I was just being an idiot and not paying attention at all. And to make things worse, to make things even worse for me, I went to the PC to bid farewell One Punch. I release him, but then a little bit later, I realized that One Punch had XP share on him while he died, and I never took it off him before releasing him. So once I realized this, I start freaking out. I check my bag to see maybe if the game would have automatically removed it and back into my bag, but it wasn't there. So now, the grinding gets even worse. And to make things even more worse, I had just lost a Pokemon that I had put into a pretty good level. So now I have to get a new Pokemon to get into the grind. Somebody please kill me. Thankfully, my Bait was at a pretty good level to where I didn't really need to get a to lose that amount of time for it. So a lot of grinding later, I get my Bait into a high enough level, and it is here where I'm still pretty nervous, but I decide to take on the Elite Four. The first Elite Four members specialize in Dark types, but many of these Pokemon had secondary typings that I was able to exploit with Uguay and Kiki, and Treeboy was able to take care of the rest. So, first Elite Four member down. Pretty good so far. The second Elite Four member specialized on Ghost types, which I immediately just decided to send Treeboy out by himself because he had Pursuit, which was really good against Ghost types. But guess what happens? I don't know what that was. That's what it was. He knows Ice Beam! I'm switching. Folks, let this be another lesson. Please do research on boss Pokemon moves. Otherwise, they're gonna blindside you with something that you never prepared for. Thankfully, Raiden the Rayquaza was able to snipe that Dusclops with the Ice Beam with Fly. After that, I sent back Treeboy to Giga Drain everybody to death, and surprisingly, it went well. Second Elite Four member down. After that, I got even more nervous. The third Elite Four member was actually quite easy to take care of. Kiki and Uguay had a really easy time to take care of every single one of them. Even the chunky Warring, Kiki had no problem taking care of it. It was really interesting. So now, I'm with the fourth Elite member. So, this is where I start getting even more nervous. Because after this, I have the champion fight. But before I can get to the champion fight, I have to deal with the Dragon type Elite Four member. And this one is the hardest one, because I only have like 2 Pokemon that can take care of it. Raiden, the Rayquaza, and Kiki. So, very nervously, I go to the Elite Four member. I didn't get it. Oh well. Oh! Bro, look at this man. He's not even wearing a shirt. That's how menacing he is. Raiden was able to take care of the Shellgun quite easily, even if that Rock Tomb was kind of scary, but then I realized it didn't do that much damage because of the high level. But once the Altaria came out, I decided to send in Kiki for it, to get, more variety. But then this guy starts using Dragon Dance. So now I'm like, oh no! This man is going to kill me if I don't kill him fast. So I decide to gamble on Kiki's Thunder. Thunder is very inaccurate, and throughout this run, it really didn't hit that much. It was very inconsistent for me to use them. And considering my luck, you would think I would play safe and just try to chip away with Spark. But no, I decided to say YOLO and Gambit on Thunder. It missed, but then Altaria decided to get greedy and use Dragon Dance again. Then Thunder missed again. And then he decided to get greedy again and use Dragon Dance. At this point, I'm like, whoa, what is happening here? I am not usually this unlucky and lucky at the same time. What is happening? Just hit the Altaria already, Kiki. You're about to give me an anxiety attack. And the thunder hit eventually. That was a little bit scary. The rest of the team was kind of easy, not gonna lie. Almost had a close call with the Salamans, but we don't talk about that. Then he decided to use the Kingdra. Another Kingdra. Another one of those chunky little seahorses that I'm absolutely starting to despise. Sorry, Mira. But there was this one Pokemon that Kingdra did not take into account. My Raiden. And thanks to Outrage, he was able to one-shot it, making me destroy all the Elite Four members. This is it. The final fight. The Hoenn region champion, Wallace, who specializes on all water types. This is where I just get incredibly nervous, but also quite confident, surprisingly, because I had two very, very strong Pokemon that can take care of this man's Pokemon team. So, 3 inventory checks later, I finally take on the Hoenn champion. Tree Boy was very easily able to take care of Wellord and Milotic, which was quite funny because those were very chunky boys, but it did not mean a thing to Tree Boy. Then I sent out Kiki to take care of the Tentacruel and the Gyarados, which he also disposes of very easily. I am just blazing through the champion fight. I was not believing my eyes. I was doing this. I was gonna beat my first ever Nuzlocke. After that, he sends out a Ludiloco, which I just sent out Raiden to quickly dispose of with Fly. And just like that, I won. I beat my first ever Nuzlocke. I have one last talk with my rival, Professor Birch. Then I go up to the Hall of Fame with Wallace to put in my Pokemon in. And it was just so surreal. For like the matter of an entire year, I've been trying to do a Nuzlocke. Failing over and over and over. Not really getting that far. And once I did get far, it actually knocked the wind sails out of me once I got killed on that far point. It was insane. I'm not gonna lie. It was something. And then here I was, finally, standing in the Hall of Fame with all the Pokemon that got me that far. And with all the viewers that had supported me throughout that time. It was a really happy moment for me. I was proud, not gonna lie. It was insane. I was like debating on whether or not I should even do Nuzlocke anymore, because that last attempt was just kind of really took a lot out of me. But then I was like, you know what? If I made it through 6 months of boot camp in Fort Benning, then I can do a baby game challenge. And I did. I finally did. It was awesome. And it was like that. I went back to Little Root and spent the rest of my days just staring at the horizon with my Pokemon, being proud. Is what I would be saying if I didn't decide to go after Stevenstone. Because you see, ever since Gen 2 Pokemon games came out, there was always this one last fight that was after you beat the Elite Four and the Hoenn champion. These are the fights that I like to call the previous champions fights, or the red fights. Yeah, the red fights. I call them the red fights because this is a particular Pokemon trainer that is in a very secluded area in the game, all alone, by themselves. And once you come up to them, they challenge you with their very, very high level and strong Pokemon. So, with that being said, I decided that this Nuzlocke would not be complete if I didn't defeat Steven Stone. So, you know what that means.
More grinding, baby!
Okay, but to be honest, I decided to look up some strategies on how to easily level up fast and fast and fast and fast. So I decided to take on those grinding thing, put some Pokemon in the daycare, went around to find some rare candy on the world that I had missed, killing some Pokemon along the way to get more XP. Then I decided to go and do the rematches with Wally. And the worst, the absolute worst, happened to me. Man. Please wake up now. Oh wait, he is awake. He's just still confused for some reason. Wow! What the Yo! Yo! Are you kidding me? Yeah, so Gardevoir absolutely out-comboed Raiden, killing him with a Future Sight and Sidekick combo. And that, to this day, just baffles me. Until I realized that he also used Calm Mind to raise the special defense and attack of its user, and with that and the insane combo that he pulled on my Raiden, he was able to kill him, and I lost my legendary Pokemon, doing a huge blow into my Pokemon team. I was gonna use Raiden to take on Steven Stone. He was gonna be the backbone along with Tree Boy, the Mad Lad, but due to this insane combo, he died. So that was my 4th Pokemon death in this Nuzlocke attempt, and that meant to do more grinding with more Pokemon. After that whole ordeal, I just decided to not even touch Wally anymore. I decided to just strictly fight wild Pokemon in Victory Road for XP. That being said, I did some research on the Pokemon that I could use to take on Steven Stone. And after much careful planning and grinding, I decided to use Tree Boy, Squidward, and Oogway. I raised them up to be level 80. Of course, Tree Boy is much higher than that, and so he's level 88, so he's basically my level 88 Pikachu in this. Don't judge me. And with that, I was getting pretty nervous. This was the red fight in Pokemon Emerald. This was the strongest fight that you could encounter in this game. So, what happened to me? Hooey, I over-prepared. It was an absolute massacre for Steven Stone. His Pokemon did not stand a chance. The triad of Tree Boy, the absolute strongest Pokemon, the Chad Squidward, and the Fiery Turtle Oogway did so short work of Steven Stone Pokemon. It took me a minute to fully register that I beat him. It was insane to think about. I could not believe it. I defeated him so easily. But back when I was a kid, I struggled so much. And I just did it in an instant with only 3 Pokemon. that was insane. And just like that, I finished my Pokemon Emerald journey in Nuzlocke. My first ever fully completed Nuzlocke. And that was something. It really was. This was the first ever Pokemon game I ever played in my entire life. After that, I became a fan and I loved it. I loved every second of it. Like, I got the trading cards. I got this thing called tazos in Colombia. I watched the anime like crazy. This game made me a fan, and now I completed it fully with a Nuzlocke challenge, and that actually kind of came full circle. I'm not gonna lie, and that's kind of insane because, like, just recently it was announced that Ash was retiring from the show. So it was like, whoa. I beat my first Pokemon Nuzlocke and Ash is retiring? Like, yo, Pokemon has changed so much and I changed so much. And I know I'm trying to make it sound like this very profound speech, but no, it's just like insane to think about. Like, the timing on that was so crazy to me. So with that, I thanked everyone and closed the game. I finished with only 4 deaths, mind you. That was quite insane to think about. And just like that, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching me and being patient with me. Please do be more patient, though. I guarantee you, I absolutely guarantee and promise that the final chapter of the CDC Soldier is going pretty good. I feel like I'm about 70% done with it. It was quite a grueling task, especially with everything that happened in my real life. But I'm sticking it out. I'm still not giving up on that series until I finish it. And it's coming along pretty good. The project is about 70% done, and it'll be around 2023 where I will finish it, and it will be released to the public in more ways than one. That's a nice little tease for you. So yeah, I'll see you all later, and who knows, maybe I'll do another Pokemon Nuzlocke in the future.